Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go over everything that I take to shoot a NHRA drag race. There's a lot to unpack here and pack, so stick with me and let's roll that intro. Thanks again for joining me, and before we get started, if you would please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and make sure you click the notification bell. That's going to help me keep bringing content to the aspiring motorsports photographers out there. So as you can see, for an NHRA race, I kind of bring everything. I pack the kitchen sink, and you don't have to have everything I have here to go shoot a typical drag race or NHRA race, but I tend to, I want to stay flexible. I want to be able to get any shot that presents itself, whether it's, from the starting line down at the 225-foot mark, or if I can find a vantage point down on the top end, or even up from the grandstands. So we'll get started here and just kind of walk through the rhyme and reason of everything that I have here. We'll start out with the cameras. First off, let me back up. None of the, I'm not sponsored by anybody. If somebody wants to sponsor me, that'd be great. I'm not bashful, and but I'm not getting any endorsements for anything here. I made it clear in an earlier video that I am a Canon shooter, so we'll get started here. I just switched to the new Canon R1. I had R3s. I started out with the R6 and R5 mirrorless bodies several years back, and I was kind of on the fence with the R1, but the more I studied what the autofocus is capable of with this camera and the low light performance, it was a no-brainer, and I had a chance to take it out and shoot some airplanes last weekend with it, and the autofocus is just, it's something to be seen. So I packed two of these things. I found these Kirk, they're Arca type plates, but the main reason I bought them is because they have the QD quick disconnect mounts, and I'll show a little bit more into that later on. But yeah, it's just a beast of a camera. I can't wait to try it out this season. So two of those. I use the OWC CF Express 2 cards. These are 1 terabyte cards. They're a little big, but the main reason I got them is for the read-write speed. The write speed on this is 3,650 megabytes per second, and the read speed's 3,000. So when you get done shooting, it just makes your post-production a lot easier. I pack a lot of extra cards. In my book, you can't have enough cards. These are just some old throwbacks, a couple 64s, 128 gigabytes, but I keep those on hand just in case, something gets corrupted. I've got some 256 cards here. They're the Pro Grade, and one of the SanDisk. I keep them in case I have one that's corrupted. I need to change one out, or if a fellow photographer, they're having issues and they need a card, be more than happy to lend one to someone. So spare cards. We'll get into lenses here. So the 400, this is RF 400 2.8, incredible lens. It's for reaching out and getting that long shot, or when you want to just melt the background. I can move out to the 225-foot mark, which is as far out as NHRA will let you shoot from the wall. I'll use this lens, and typically on a funny car, I'll open it all the way up to f2.8 to just kind of melt the background, get that bokeh that just really makes the car look good. It makes the car stand out, makes it pop. And then I've got my old trusty EF 300 f2.8. It's got the RF adapter on it. You know, I've been on the fence with this lens. I kind of wanted to get the new RF 100 to 300 f2.8, but I just can't give up this prime. I love my prime lenses. You know, people, I think a lot of shooters are lazy today and they go with the zooms, but I just don't think the zooms have the quality that the telephotos do. So this thing works, you know, really, it's still it's my sharpest lens, truth be told. So I've hung on to it. I'll shoot one more season with it and reevaluate at the end of the year if I want to keep it or move into the 100 to 300. Moving on, this is the bread and butter lens, the 70 to 200 f2.8. This is the new Z model, which it's all internal zoom. So far, what I've shot with it, it's an incredible lens. It's a little quicker on autofocus than the first generation RF, and it's nice having the internal zoom. Then this one really has been my go-to for drag racing. This is, I call it the little brother to this one. They say it's in the same barrel as the 70 to 200. This is the 24-105 f2.8. It's the new Z lens, and really for drag racing, it's incredible because it really covers most everything from the starting line down to the 225-foot mark. So I find myself with this one on pretty much all the time because at 24 millimeter you can get a good pan shot with both cars. You still have to work a little bit of an angle to get a broadside shot of a top fuel dragster, but it's a great utility lens. A lot of times I'll find myself with the 24-105 and the 400 out there, or the 24-105 and the 300. But I also use this one a lot too. I actually just switched from the 10 to 20 f4, and I had this lens before and thought I wanted the 10 by 20, but it was just a little too wide for drag racing. So I went back to the 15. It's the RF 15 to 35 f2.8. You know, ultra wide angle. Now that one, you know, at 15 millimeter, I can do a pan shot of two dragsters and get them both in the frame. So that's just it's a great wide angle lens. And then, you know, this 85 f 1.2. This is basically just for headshots. Man, you take this thing 1.2 for portrait shots in the pits, you know, your candid shots, and it just melts the background. It doesn't matter if there's a bunch of fans standing around. They're indistinguishable when this thing's shot wide open. Then you'll see a bunch of filters here. With drag racing, filters can come in really handy, especially these polarizers, circular polarizers. These are drop-in filters. So I keep two of these, so I don't have to keep switching them out. If I go back and forth between my 300 and my 400, you just pop it out, pop the other one in, make sure it's facing forward. And what that does is that's going to do several things. One, when you have that sun, you're shooting kind of into the sun, and that's one of the challenging things for drag racing is the sun. Sometimes it'll hit that black on the track and make it kind of shiny. You can dial that out with this polarizer. Another thing, it'll help turn your skies a little more blue. And the big thing is if it's a car that's got a windshield, it'll help you see through that glass and see the driver inside the car. So, you know, I swear by these circular polarizers. They're just really good for changing light conditions during the daytime. And then you'll see a couple of neutral density filters, ND filters. I keep one each drop in of a 3-stop, so that stops you down 3 stops. And then I keep got a 6-stop in here somewhere. Yeah, 6-stop right here, which stops you down 6 stops. Now, what's that do? That lets you shoot wide open and drag the shutter, right? So I can open my aperture all the way up to f2.8 on these lenses. I can slow the shutter down to say 160 or whatever, and I'm not blowing everything out. Also, when I'm out, I take a tripod with me because I also like to shoot lightning, and I've been, you know, playing around with some astrophotography. But with lightning, this 6-stop filter is it's a must because you can do a bulb shutter where you're leaving your shutter open to catch the lightning, and that'll keep you from blowing it out when the lightning strikes and it lights the sky up. So I travel with those. I very seldom, I don't think I've ever used the 6-stop for drag racing. I may have with this 82 millimeter on this 85 if I'm wanting to shoot wide open and do some stuff with that, because at 1.2, when you're trying to melt that background out, it's real easy to overexpose it, and you can. So I carry a 3-stop and a 6-stop ND filter, and then I have this variable ND filter here. So this thing will let you go. Geez, I don't even know what it goes to, but it'll. I think it goes all the way down to like a 10-stop, but I don't use it too much. And then I picked this up here a while back after seeing another photographer on YouTube, and it's a pretty cool deal. And I'll put a couple of pictures up so you can see. It's a prism filter, 82 millimeter. So everything I have now is 82 millimeter on my smaller lenses. I don't know if you can see that on there or not, but it's the center is clear and then the sides blur out. And you can pick this up on Amazon. It's a Uni-C FX Ghost V2, and I'll put the link down below. It's only like 35 or 40 bucks. It has a pretty cool effect. I haven't tried it with drag racing yet. I've tried it with some dirt track stuff, and I really like the look I get. It's just something different, just another tool in your toolbox. So moving on, I've got the 1x4 teleconverter here, the 2.0 teleconverter here. I use the 1x4 a lot on the 400. Example is like when I shot in St. Louis, NHRA race there last year. I was able to go up in the grandstands of the IndyCar track over there and shoot the shutdown area of the drag strip. And it really let me reach out and get some good shots. So, and with the 1x4 on this thing, now you're at a 580 at a f4. So it's still very usable lens during the daytime and even at night. And I even tried the 2X converter last week, shooting some of the airplanes, which turns you into a 800 millimeter at a 5.6. And actually I was quite surprised with the clarity of that, and I'll post some sample pictures from that. Moving on, Expo disc. This is an older one, 77 millimeter. What's that do for me? That is so I can set a manual white balance. So you'll get at some tracks, and the lighting is it's cycling and changing color with every shot. And if you're spraying, at 30 or 40 frames per second, your light's changing with every shot. You can go to a manual white balance. It's basically like a gray card, and set your white balance with that, and it works quite well. Use it a lot with dirt track racing when I turn the flash off. Moving on, sensor, cleaning swabs, and solution. You don't want to get stuck out there and have something on your sensor and now you're having to pluck it out in post-production. So I carry a sensor cleaning kit. I found these eye cloths. These are pretty cool. They're a great big moistened cloth, kind of like a lens cloth, but they're big. And it's great just for wiping everything down. Carry some lens cloths with me, and then a good cloth here just to clean stuff off from time to time. Yeah. So radio is good to have with NHRA, IndyCar, NASCAR, any of your major series, because you can program it to the series, and you can listen to certain drivers, teams, crews. I can listen to the officials. I can listen to race control. I can even listen to the PA at a lot of the NHRA races. And if it's not a major series and you're just doing just a regular race, you can pick up your little cheap FM transmitter. These things work quite well. It allows you to listen to the PA announcer, and to dovetail onto that, some good. I use molded. They're Receiver molded earplugs. You can plug into the radio. You definitely need some good hearing protection. Don't do like I did when I was young and not wear hearing protection. You'll regret it later on. So moving on. Good old monopod. This is a Manfrotto. I kind of made the pad here. I use it more just to carry a lens over my shoulder, but all I did is I went and got some foam from probably Lowe's and put it on there and used some gaffer's tape and taped it on. It's lasted a few years that way, and it works better than the pads you can get online at the different retailers. Speaking of which, I always carry some gaffer's tape. It just comes in handy. A lot of times I'll wrap it on put it on the barrel of the camera, because one thing about drag racing is when you're up against that concrete wall, it kind of rubs on your stuff, and take care of it as much as I can. Then knee pads. For drag racing, it's pretty much essential, unless you're just trying to act tough. When you're out there kneeling on the wall, it can wear on you after a while. I usually only take one, but sometimes I'll take two. It just depends on the angle that I'm trying to get. This is the Black Rapid strap. So carry two cameras with this. Basically fits like so. And going back to the Kirk QD mounts. So that's your quick disconnect mount. I've never used these before. This will be the first year I've tried them, but they clip on, and you'll be able to carry the camera around that way. And it's quick to disconnect. I had concerns about it. What happens? Is it going to come loose or what have you? But the more I researched it, when it's got tension on it, you can't press the button. And this is the same mount that the U.S. military uses for all their M16 rifles and whatnot. So that'll be a change for me this year. And I've gone to all of the Kirk feet, however you want to call it, for all of my big lenses. And these are all Arca mounts, so you can mount it, quick disconnect on a tripod. Plus they have the QD mounts. I doubt I'll use it on this big lens, but I'll definitely use the QD mount on this lens. I just got this one. Today. And then they make them now for the new Canon Z lenses, which is kind of cool. It just pops on, and it's lighter than the factory one. And this lens is kind of heavy anyway, so any little weight savings is going to help there. So yeah, got it on there. Got it on the 24-105, and yeah, I'm looking forward to taking that for a test drive this year. So yeah, I always have business cards. You should always have your business cards, because remember the previous video, it's all about relationships, right? And you need to be ready when people ask for your information. Power bank for my cell phone. Days can get kind of long. You can't always get back to the media center to charge your stuff, so I take a power bank with me. Notepad, pens, Sharpies. Like if you're out there shooting for customers, you want to keep track of who you shot when. NHRA, most of your big series are going to hand these out, NHRA, NASCAR, IndyCar. So it's good to keep with you. I'll keep that in my hip bag. Showing my age here, don't leave home without it. You younger guys, you can't relate. You will one day. The older guys are sitting here looking at me, nodding and smiling. So I usually take 2 shoe flashes with me, typical drag race. For most candid shots in the pits, I'll just use one, and I'll use this little Velo softbox, little Octabox. It goes right on the shoe flash. But sometimes I'll do a radio flash. And these are the Godox V862s. Not the greatest shoe flash in the world, but it's not the worst. I've used these for about 4 or 5 years now, and they're pretty tough. I think these things are $169 now. So yeah, and I'll have links to most of this stuff down below. So if you have any questions, just look down there. But what I'll do is, just to do some artsy stuff, I got little stands I'll put these on, or I can put them on these little small rig clamps, and do some off-camera stuff in the pits or what have you. One thing, NHRA does not allow you to do flash. You can't shoot any action with flash. So yeah, that's strictly for the pits or victory lane or staging lanes or what have you. Then I've got a remote trigger. So this is for the cameras. I can, if I wanted to, I could put this on the camera, mount it to a light pole or whatever, and do a remote remote shot. I haven't tried it yet. I was going to try it back at the Chili Bowl, but quite frankly, I forgot. So, but look for some of that this year. I'm going to use it somewhere. I'm just not sure yet. Then, I take a bunch of hard drives with me. These are two 4-terabyte drives and one 2-terabyte drive. Kind of my workflow when I'm at the track. When I go into the media center in between rounds, I'll move everything from the camera onto the hard drive just as a backup. I won't erase because that's 1 terabyte and you're not going to fill a terabyte up in a day. I won't erase it, but I just want to get it backed up because I don't trust any media. So yeah, back it up. Carry this little USB-C splitter, which is pretty nice, just because MacBook Pros, they're kind of lacking on that. I think there's, 2 or 3. And I still have the old MacBook Pro from 2021. It's a M1. Still does me fine. It's got 64 gigs of memory. Maybe I'll change at the end of this season, but at this point in time, it does what I need it to do, so no real reason to change. GoPro. So this year, like I said, I'm going to be kind of covering all my travels and everything, so I'm filming this with the GoPro, so please excuse the warping of the ultra wide angle, but this has got all my attachments and stuff, and I keep these little small rig clamps in here, and that's pretty much it. It's a lot of stuff. Don't think that you need all this to go shoot a drag race. I mean, if I only had one lens to shoot a drag race, geez, I think it would probably be the 24-105, maybe the 70-200. Learn what you got. Use what you got. If you want to grow it, you grow it. I mean, it's taken me a while to get this far, and it's I come loaded for bear at every track. So the only caveat to this is, so this year most of my trips will be driving. I've got a travel trailer set up as a home office because I also have a day job, so I can do my day job from the trailer and then go shoot. And the way they string some of these races together, like first race is going to be in a little over 2 weeks in Gainesville, Florida. I'm going to fly down for that one. Then I'll come back the Monday after, load the travel trailer up and start heading to Arizona because we got Arizona, Pomona, and Vegas strung all together. So I'll drive for those. But my fly dates, I take and I don't have it handy, but I've got a Lowepro backpack. And typically I take 2 Think Tank Airport Security, I think it's 4.0, great bags. Man, I've been using them for years and they're just awesome. But for a fly date, I won't check my baggage, my gear. It's carry-on. And a tip there, when you do a fly date like that, make sure you're flying on an aircraft that will fit your equipment in the overhead bin. And keep in mind, you can take 1 roller bag and 1 backpack. I'll take, for my fly dates, I'll take 1 of the Think Tank Airport Security bags and then my Lowepro backpack. And basically, everything goes in the Think Tank except for these 2 lenses and a lot of this stuff down here, and that all goes in the backpack. And then I just check my clothes through. I can go without clothes. I can't go without my gear. And then for the drive dates, I take all of this and more. Like I say, I take my tripod. I'll probably take my reflectors in case I want to shoot an unsanctioned race somewhere. Going back to my computer, my MacBook, I use this Newswear hood when I'm in the media room. It's really good because sometimes when you're in the media room, there's a lot of glare and stuff, and plus I want to be kind of private. I don't want everybody looking over my shoulder at my pictures. Not trying to hide anything, but when I go shoot, I try to do some unique stuff that's different angles, and I kind of go where nobody else is, just to get that different shot. But with the glare and everything, and then sometimes even some of these media centers are really small, and you may not have a spot reserved for you in the media center. I've worked from my truck out in the parking lot before. So that hood works really well for that. So that's a wrap. I mean, this is what's in my bag. And, if you have any questions, feel free to post below. And please like, share, and subscribe. and click the bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. When I head out on the NHRA tour, I'll be posting a recap each week of everything that went down. So, thanks for joining me. The season's getting ready to warm up, and I can't wait for you guys to join along with me. See you at the races.